Widow's Bay takes a dark turn towards the end of episode 9, but one plausible theory seems to make it even bleaker. In its 9-episode runtime, so far, Widow's Bay has been a fun combination of both horror and comedy. Even in episode 9's ending moments, Apple TV's Widow's Bay walks through a comical sequence in which Rosemary decodes the identity of Richard Warren's last descendant on the Central Island. Things, however, soon take a grim turn when Wick, Patricia, and Tom learn that only one woman, Ruth, is Warren's last living descendant. Realizing that they would have to kill Ruth to be able to save the island from the generational curse, Wick and Tom think about killing Ruth while Patricia seems to be completely against the idea. Before the end credits of Widow's Bay episode 9 start rolling, Tom seems ready to shed his morality and kill Ruth to be able to save the other residents of the island from a brewing storm. As the show's story and the rules of the overarching curse suggest, killing Ruth should save the island. However, a chilling theory suggests that the haunt has only started, and things will only get worse for the central trio in the finale. Chilling Widow's Bay theory suggests Ruth isn't Warren's last living descendant. According to the theory, Tom will soon face the harsh reality of learning that Ruth is not the last living descendant of Warren. He might end up crossing several moral boundaries to get Ruth out of the way and may even justify her death by claiming that he is doing it to protect his son. In her final moments, however, Ruth might reveal that his wife, Lauren, was her daughter. This would make Tom's son, Evan, Ruth's grandson and the last descendant of Warren. Many subtle developments in the original Apple TV show point towards this twist in the theory, which makes it quite plausible. For instance, despite her age, Ruth always agreed to babysit Evan when Tom was not around. She never even asked for anything in return. In one of her letters to her son, Lauren even mentioned something along the lines of having two mothers, with one of them being a secret mother. Perhaps, this was a reference to the fact that, although Ruth never got married, she was Lauren's secret mother. As of Widow's Bay episode 9, the Ruth revelation seems a little too convenient. Ruth is among the oldest people on the island and just happens to be Warren's last descendant. This makes it relatively easier for Tom and the crew to justify her death to be able to get rid of the curse. However, things could get incredibly murky if Tom learns that his own son, Evan, is Warren's last descendant. This development would leave him with a massive moral dilemma: save the lives of the many people on the island or prepare to sacrifice the one person he loves the most. In the latest Widow's Bay episode, both Tom and Wick collectively agree that Ruth has to go before the storm takes the lives of the people on the island. Tom, for obvious reasons, will not be able to justify his son's death so easily. If true, the theory can be the perfect setup for Widow's Bay Season 2. The fact that Tom and Wick agreed to get Ruth out of the way in Widow's Bay's episode 9 proves that they have already crossed a few moral boundaries in their heads. If the above theory is true, however, Tom will likely feel cornered and helpless because there is no way he would let anyone kill his son just to be able to break the curse. He has been so determined to break the curse on the island because he wants his son to be free from it. He fears that if his son leaves the island with the curse still looming over them, he might end up meeting the same fate as his wife. If his son becomes the reason why the curse still exists, though, Tom will likely try to accept the island's haunts instead of trying to get rid of them. Since he loves no one more than his son, he might even be willing to sacrifice everyone else just to have Evan around. Since Widow's Bay ends its run with one final episode, this potential revelation will likely mark the end of its run. It will seemingly be the perfect setup for Season 2, where Tom Loftus will be pushed to his moral limit before he, Patricia, and Wick figure out a way to save Evan and everyone else on the island.